All right, this is the I.S.U.P.K Wednesday law class. Also, remember, check out Commanding General Yohanna's radio show, which is Monday. It is Monday, 2 a.m. UK time. Also, check out the classes in the States, Tuesday through Friday. So that'll be what? Midnight our time. That's midnight UK time. Also, if you're in the UK, check out the classes here, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Monday, you have the history class. Wednesday, the law class. Thursday, the scripture breakdown class. So you can ask all your questions and get all your answers, biblical questions, questions on topic, off topic, and get them all broken down. Also, what? We got the Feast of Tabernacles this Saturday. Feast of Tabernacles this Saturday, 7 p.m., 394 Lodge Road, man. If you're black or Hispanic, come down. It's a holy convocation, like all the Most High's feasts. The same way your family in the world gather together for Christmas, you meant to be in this truth and, do this man gather together. Like, you don't hear a man in the world say, "Oh yeah, I'm just keeping Christmas on my own." Listen, they go all out, man. They go all out. They have the roast turkey, they have that applesauce, they have the sprouts, they have whatever else. They have the chicken, they have the lamb, they have the beef, the roast potatoes. Be in this truth, man, and come and keep these feast days better than those pagans in the world do Christmas, man. That's how we're supposed to keep it. And also, this is part 2 of the class last week about Black history, because it's what so-called Black History Month. So last week we went over what? We went over from the time of Noah to Noah's 3 kids, Shem, Abraham. No, it's lucky not Shem and Abraham. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So we went over that, who we descend from, how we ain't Africans, how we descend from Shem, and all the way down through to Eber and so forth, through to Abraham's father and to Abraham, and then how the Lord did what? Promise us a land. So during Black history, they don't teach black people that once upon a time you had a land. They don't teach you that. They don't teach you that you had the best land on the face of the earth, man. They don't teach you that the land that you had. One second, I'm gonna pull that scripture real quick. So look here. If I could, Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 5. Facebook went down. Like, they don't teach you about the land that you once had. They don't teach you about the laws that you once had. Like, they make out that we was just some black people that are just stupid. But we saw gold on the floor and we was kicking gold. That's what they say. They say we didn't know what gold was, we was kicking gold. They say we didn't know what this was, we didn't know what that was. All of that. Now, listen, that's a lie, man. And then last week we showed that black people did know what those things was. We showed that black people did know what gold was. We showed that black people, God told us, make breeches and clothes and whatnot. So all of this we was swinging for tree in Africa is a lie, man. All of this we was uncivilized. That's a lie. Because black people actually believe what? There was uncivilized before slavery, man. We've been taught that what? Our oppressor has civilized us. Our oppressor is the reason why we're wearing clothes now. Our oppressor is the reason why we know what gold is. Go ahead.
To give example, years ago, my mom, there was a documentary about like South Africa. You know, eating raw meat and all that. And my mom, she did like, she goes that after seeing that, she like, maybe being in England ain't so bad. Because she thought that was also look how they live.
See, and that's how Hamites live, but that ain't how we live. God gave us laws that we can't eat blood, man. God gave us laws on what we can and can't eat. We was very civilized, but go ahead. Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 5, I believe.
Ezekiel 20 and 5. And say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God, in the day when I choose Israel, I lifted up my hand unto the seed of the house of Jacob.
Says the Lord chose Israel, man. Now, during Black History, why don't they teach you that the Lord chose you? You know what they do give you? They give you some African flags in the road. They give you some there used to be an LGBT zebra crossing. They've changed it to African colors now for so-called Black History Month. And guess what, black man? That flag ain't even yours, man. That's an African flag.
That's right.
But because we believe we're African, we'd be happy taking pictures and yeah, they gave us a flag. Listen, man, what is a flag compared to our whole country that they took from us, man? So you mean to say they've took your whole country and just gave you a flag with red and black and some next colors on there? They've took your whole country and gave you a flag. They've made you a slave and just give you a flag and tell you when Black History Month is. So now, Black History Month, you can only get Black History Month in October. Your history only matters in October, in October. And then the history that they give you is lies anyway, man. It's so far from the truth. Listen, I've sat in some of these Black History classes, man. I've watched some of these Black History classes on YouTube. I've seen people post these Black History classes, and in there, you don't learn nothing about Black history, man. You don't learn nothing about your true history. You don't learn nothing about how great of a people you was. If it was true Black history, you're supposed to learn about how great you are, man. You know, when it comes to Black people's history, they just teach you about how much you've been beat up and how much you're a slave and how much you this. I mean, listen, man. You see when they show you see like when they show Mike Tyson's highlights, they don't show Mike Tyson getting his head bashed in by Lennox Lewis, man. You know why? Because that's not. They don't want to show his highlights, man. They just show you Mike Tyson winning all these fights and whatnot. When it comes to your history, they show you getting your head bashed in, man. You see when they show you your history on the big screen, it's all the L's you've took, all the losses you've took. You know, in history, there was nations when they would lose a war, they wouldn't record it, man. They would lose wars and not record it and not speak about it, and they would only speak about their victories. Now, what happens with your history? They don't speak about your victories. They only speak about your losses, man. They only speak about, yeah, you was swinging from trees. You came here. Yeah, you was a slave. It was horrible. You picked cotton. But now we all won. What's his name now? That so-called abolished slavery. What's his name again? Can't remember his name. Nah, what was the next one? What's his name again? The one who so-called abolished slavery before he died. Abraham Lincoln. Was it Abraham Lincoln? Yeah, I'm sure it was, yeah. So they just tell you, yeah, Abraham Lincoln abolished slavery and whatnot. Abolished slavery. Listen, man, you're happy that some man abolished slavery. Listen, if that's the case, it shouldn't have ever happened to you in the first place, man.
That's right.
In order for him to abolish it, it had to happen to you in the first place. It shouldn't have happened to you in the first place, man. Go ahead.
And made myself known unto them.
And the Lord made himself known unto them. Now, in this place, during Black history, they make out that God hates Black people, man. They make out that we haven't got no God. They've took our culture from us, took everything from us. They make out that we ain't got no God. So during Black history, they just give us the same thing that they give us every single year. Yeah, you was a slave. So according to them, our history starts with slavery, man. Our history starts with slavery. Our history starts with what? Picking cotton, picking sugar cane, getting our back whipped. That's what our history starts with, according to them. Not realizing way before that, man, the Lord gave us a land, man. The Lord said, separate from these other nations. The Lord gave us laws. The Lord said we're better than everybody else. The Lord said he chose us. Now, during Black History Month, they don't ever teach us that God chose us. You know why? Because you might understand, you know what? Maybe if I do start to serve God, God will get me out of this situation. So they need to keep you in the situation that you're in by just telling you, yeah, you're swinging from trees. You're running around butt naked. And you should thank us for bringing you to England. You should thank us to show you that advert of them Africans on TV, and they tell you that's you. And then you be saying, yo, you be saying, I don't mind being a slave because them Africans on TV are begging for water and drinking dirty water. Listen, man, that wasn't you, man. We had clean water in our land, man. We had good stuff in our land. Don't let them lie to you and fool you, but that was us. That's Hamites, man. That's on the TV begging for all this money and whatnot. That ain't us. Go ahead.
Known unto them in the land of Egypt, when I lifted up my hand unto them, and saying, I am the Lord your God.
Saying, I am the Lord your God, man. They don't tell us that the God of the Bible is our God. That's been hidden from us. If we knew that, we would want to know, how do we serve him? What makes him happy? What don't make him happy? What pleases him? What displeases him? Go ahead.
Verse 6, in the day that I lifted up my hand unto them to bring them forth of the land of Egypt into a land that I had espied for them.
And listen, man, the Lord had a land for us, man. So these are making up. We was in some jungle somewhere, drinking blood. That's a lie, man. The Lord gave us the best land. Go ahead. I believe it says it.
I espied for them, flowing with milk and honey.
And the Lord gave us a land which flows with milk and honey. And that land that the Lord gave us is so great that what? The Arabs is fighting over it right now, man.
That's right.
The Jewish man's fighting over it right now.
Right.
Every religion tries to claim that land. And while they're trying to claim that land, we just in England smoking weed on the corner, man. We just in England taking drugs on the corner. We just in the whorehouse, not realizing God gave us a land which flows with milk and honey. And these other nations know that it's the best land on the face of the earth, and that's why they're fighting over it. Fighting over it so much. And the people who it really belongs to, they got no clue that it belongs to them, man. They got no clue that that land belongs to them. They're just in slavery, just living life, happy to get an African flag on the pavement, man. We're just happy to get an African flag on the pavement. That's what we're happy about. Meanwhile, these Arabs ain't happy unless they get our land, man. These Jewish people ain't happy unless they get our land. They've been fighting over it for years. All on the news when they go to war, what do they talk about? Oh, the land of Israel, the Palestinians is what fighting with the Jewish people and the Iraqis and whatnot. The Israelis, the Israelis is fighting against the Palestinians and whatnot. all these Arabs and these East Indians over here talking about free Gaza and whatnot. You see them with the flags, free Gaza and whatnot, all this nonsense. When really they're fighting over everything that belongs to us. Go ahead.
Which is the glory of all lands.
Which is the glory of all lands. They're fighting over what? The glory of all lands. Meanwhile, what? We fighting over B19, man. We fighting over B21. We fighting over B6. We fighting over South London. We fighting over E5, Hackney, Peckham. That's what we fighting over. Meanwhile, they're fighting over the glory of all lands, man. We here fighting over what? These streets that don't love us, man. These streets that have took so many young black men, we're fighting over. A land in which you're in your captivity, fighting over a corner, fighting over the neighborhood, and we ain't got one shop in the neighborhood, man. Go ahead.
If I can add, I don't want to say any names, but there's one brother. He was on the streets, selling drugs, shooting, and look what happened to him now. Just a bus driver, like he gave away all that life to just end up one day having nothing just to drive a bus.
See, go ahead, you gonna say more?
No.
See, after that, he realized what? Better late than never, though, to be fair, but he realized late that all this gangbanging stuff for a postcode ain't worth it, man. For a land that ain't ours, go ahead.
Which is the glory of all lands.
Which is the glory of all lands. The land of Israel is the glory of all lands. And not just the little. You've seen how small they've made it on the map now. Just that little part they've made it on the map. If you look at an ancient map, you'll see how big it is, man. All of that belonged to us. It tells you that what? From that river all the way to that river, the Lord gave us all of it, man. The Lord gave us all of it. And then what happened? The land was divided into tribes. So the tribe of Judah would get their land. Tribe of Benjamin got theirs. It was divided up like that, man. And what now? All of us is scattered abroad. None of us is in the land now because what? We disobeyed God. But during history, they don't teach us that we ever had the greatest of lands. Because if they did teach us that, we'll be wondering, all right, what's the best way to get back there, man? And the best way to get back there is by what? Serving God in Jesus Christ, man. And then one day we'll get back there. There's no such thing as you trying to go back there yourself. Don't be like them fake Israelites that's there now, they're trying to go back there. It don't work, man. It's not on you to take yourself back there, man. The Lord took you out of there for a reason. You serve him here, and when in the Lord's time, he will bring us back there, man. The thing is, you're going back there, and the way you're going back there, you're not even ruling, man. You ain't even ruling. You're at the bottom, man. When we go back there, we're going to be ruling. We're going to be telling every nation what they can and can't do. During Black history, they don't tell us that we ran the whole earth. They don't tell us that everybody used to come to Solomon to hear his wisdom. They make you believe that every black man was dumb, like we didn't have no wise black men in our nation, man. When we had the wisest men in our nation. Go ahead.
Then said I unto them, cast ye away every man the abomination of his eyes.
That's it on that. Give me 1 Kings chapter 4 and verse 29. So I'm gonna show you, man, because they were saying, oh, we didn't know what this was. We didn't know what gold was. We didn't know what this was. We was just a bunch of animals. So I'm gonna show you, man, because the Bible, this right here, predates us going into slavery. This is us before slavery, man. Go ahead.
1 Kings 4 and 29. And God gave Sir Solomon wisdom and understanding.
And God gave Solomon wisdom and understanding, man. Solomon was a black man. They make out like, what? Oh, we're just stupid. We're dumb. We talk stupid and whatnot. Even the way we talk, they mock the way we talk, man. Like, obviously, you've heard people say, oh, like people say to black people, like, oh, you speak like a white man. What they're basically saying is what they speak professional. Basically, what you're trying to say is speaking white is speaking professional, man. And then the way we talk is what? Ghetto. That's what they say, the way black people talk. Oh, you talk ghetto. What they're trying to say is the way we talk is uneducated. The way we talk is silly and whatnot. But if you haven't noticed, all these other nations try and copy the way we talk. Behind closed doors, they're trying to talk how we talk, man.
That's right.
You see, when they're not on their job, they're trying to talk how we talk. You had some rich, wealthy kids, some rich, wealthy Edomite kids. And what happened? They was trying to replicate what we do. They was trying to talk how we talk. And they was running around with knives. And guess what they said in court? The judge said what? They was trying to play. The judge said in court that they was trying to play middle-class black gangsters. And because the parents of those white kids was wealthy, guess what happened? They stabbed someone and he died, and they got off the case. They got community service because what? The good kids from the suburbs and was influenced by drill music. Meanwhile, if a black man stabs someone, which is wrong, he gets life, man. He gets 30 years. This boy got what? Probation after killing someone, man. And they blamed it on what? Oh, he listens to drill music. Now, if you go on Instagram and you look at these rappers' comments, you know who's causing the arguments in the comments? It's these white boys from the suburbs. Have you seen it? Like I seen on one of the comments some nerdy Edomite with his hair slicked back and glasses. So I clicked on his profile to say it looked like some Edomite with glasses. And you know what he commented? He commented on one of the brothers' posts saying, oh, I wouldn't have that. I say you chingum. I was thinking that this boy from the suburbs telling a black man he must stab another black man. And he's using the terms that black people use. Really, they want to be us, man. Which other nation could be in slavery and everybody wants to be them?
That's right.
I mean, we right at the bottom of the face of the earth and everybody wants to be us. Everybody wishes they could be us. And we at the bottom of the earth. So imagine how it's going to be when we're at the top, man. Listen, we basically, in this society, we meant to be the scum of the earth, but everybody still wants to dress like us, man. We're the scum of the earth. Everybody still wants to talk like us, rap like us. Now, when they first made P-cats, they was meant to be made forward, man. But what did black people do? We started wearing them backwards, man. What happens? Everybody turns their hat backwards now. To now they've even named it what, a snapback. When before you was meant to wear it forward, man. But we, the salt of the earth, now they wear it backwards. Go ahead.
The wisdom and understanding exceeding much and largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the sea.
The Lord gave Solomon a lot, man, which was a black man. Go ahead.
And Sir Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the East country.
Listen, man. Solomon's wisdom excelled all the children of the East countries. The East countries back then would have been what? These Hamite countries. Eastern, yeah, Arabia and all of them places. Give me some more. Give me some more. Iran, all of them, man. The Persians, the Medes, and so forth. Listen, man. Solomon's wisdom excelled all of theirs, man. Solomon's wisdom excelled all of theirs, which means what? People making out, yeah, we're so dumb and stupid. It doesn't say that here. Why don't they teach us during Black History Month? You know what? Solomon, a black man that's from the same nation as you was the wisest man on the face of the earth. Teach us that, man, and then maybe we might see, you know what, maybe we can be wise and so forth. Go ahead.
of the East country, and all the wisdom of Egypt.
And all the wisdom of Egypt. You see those Egyptians that people love so much. Them Egyptians that people love so much. Oh, the pharaohs, Tutankhamun, the Egyptians, and blah 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 blah. The Egyptians built the pyramids. The Egyptians aligned this with the. You've heard all that nonsense, isn't it? The Egyptians aligned this with the stars and blah blah blah, and whatnot. People saying, "Oh, they lined the pyramids with the stars." Listen, you have a man that's a slave in England telling you this. How does he know anything, man? How does he know if anything's aligned, man? How would he know? He's a slave in England, man, and he's trying to tell you, "Oh yeah, this is aligned." Bearing in mind, he's never been nowhere, man. He's only been to jail, man. What does he know? Go ahead.
For he was wiser than all men.
Listen, Solomon was wiser than all men, and he was a black man, man. Go ahead.
Than Ethan the Israelite, and the Heman, and Chalcol, and Dada, the sons of Mahal.
What verse you?
Verse 31.
Yeah, go ahead.
And his fame was in all nations round about.
And listen, man, Solomon was famous, man. Solomon was famous. This black man had fame, man. You know why he was famous? Because of how wise he was. How wise he was. Because the Lord was with him. Go ahead.
And he spake 3,000 proverbs.
And he spoke 3,000 proverbs, man. Proverbs is what? Like wise sayings. He spoke 3,000 proverbs, man. 3,000 wise sayings. And this is why you have the book of Proverbs, the wisdom of Solomon, is it Ecclesiastes and so forth. That's why you have them books, man. All of Solomon's wise sayings. Go ahead.
And his songs were 1,005.
And his songs were what?
1,005.
And Solomon what? Was a musician like our people are musicians, man. Solomon, how much songs did he have?
1,005.
Listen, man, Solomon had more songs than Tupac, man. And Tupac was making what, 3 songs a day? Easily, listen, Solomon had more songs than that, man. Solomon's songs was what, 1,005? All that studio time, all them. Listen, Solomon was dropping albums, man. Go ahead. But people make out we were so dumb. But every song, most music originates from us, man. Like we are people where we're in slavery. We rap and sing about our condition, and you can feel every emotion on the song, man. You can feel every single emotion on the song. Whereas these other nations, when they make songs, you don't feel no emotion. But us black people are spiritual people, and you can feel every emotion on the beat, man. I mean, when a woman gets her heart broken, man, them songs that like Ashanti when she made that song "Foolish." Listen, man, you can feel every emotion on that song, man. You can feel every emotion on that song "Foolish," man. Whoever broke her heart, listen, they broke her heart, and she made a song that's a classic, man. I'm telling you, only black people can make them kind of songs, "Foolish" and Whitney Houston and all them songs, man, them classics, and Tiana Taylor and whatnot. Go ahead.
And he spake of trees from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon. And
Solomon spoke of trees, man, cedar trees and so forth. Go ahead.
Even unto the hyssop that springeth out of the wall.
And Solomon spoke of everything, man. Go ahead.
He spake also of beasts and of fowl and of creeping things and of fishes.
And he spoke about them, man. Like what's good, what's not good, what they can do, what they can't do, which animals is wise and so forth. Go ahead.
And there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon.
And they came to hear the wisdom of Solomon. Solomon was so wise. He spoke about how ants gather their meat in the winter. How they gather their meat in the winter or the summer, or one of them. I can't remember which one it was. I'm sure they gather it in the summer, right? Was it the summer? Yeah, they gather it in the summer to keep it in the winter. Solomon was speaking those kind of wise sayings, man. You see the wise sayings that Solomon was speaking. Your scientist is only finding out these things right now, man. The things that Solomon was speaking thousands of years ago, your scientist is only finding these things out now. Go ahead.
From all kings of the earth, which had heard of his wisdom.
And all these kings, man, come to hear Solomon's wisdom. From there, give me 1 Kings 10 and verse 14. All of them come to hear Solomon's wisdom, which is a black man. During black history, why don't you teach us about Jacob, man? Teach us about Isaac. Teach us about Abraham. Teach us where we really come from. Instead of teaching us about how much we got our back whipped, man. Instead of knife crime so high because of us. That's all we learned during Black History Month, about knife crime, us being, and then they have the cheek to teach us about Bob Marley, man. And they have the cheek to teach us about Martin Luther King. Tell me something pre-Martin Luther King, man. I want to know. I want to know what I was before slavery, man. I want to know how I was living before slavery. I want to know what I used to eat, how I used to dress. I want to know how I was before slavery, man. Let me know. Go ahead.
And also it's a mental game.
Exactly.
It will show you, how much you love us, how much you're willing to fight just to sit next to us. Like it's like a mental game, like we're playing with. Like, see, you love us that much that even everyone who is big among you, their whole goal was to fight so that you could love us. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, because all our leaders that they tell us about is what? Ones that love them, ones that do their mission. Like Martin Luther King did what? Did their mission. Half the other leaders do their mission. So they teach us like, these is your black leaders, we will give them to you. Listen to them, follow them. And by us following them black leaders, it all leads back to us following our oppressors. That's where it all leads back to. Whereas if Jesus Christ was here right now, and this world taught that it was black, they wouldn't teach us about him in Black history. You know why? Because he's a revolutionist, man. He goes against their agenda, and they know if they teach us about him, and this is why they don't teach us about who is it Nat Turner. This is why they don't really teach you about Nat Turner. They don't really teach you about I can't remember what his name was, but it was the one that started the revolt in the I believe it was called the Baptist War. He was a Baptist preacher, and the kind that started the revolt. And then what Esau went and done is killed him, cut his head off, killed 300 of them, and they put one of their heads on the post so that every black person that saw that head on the post would understand this would be their fate if they revolt and if they run away. So that's what they do, man. They make an example. So they do these fear factors, make you afraid and make you think, you know what? I'm not going to revolt, because if I revolt, that's going to be my head on the pole. Go ahead.
And also, too, they don't let you know that in the West, like with the slaves, they rebelled many times.
Exactly, many times.
Loads.
There's the you know about the Maroons, right? There's the Maroons that what the Maroons used to do is what they went to war with Esau so much that Esau said to them, you know what? We will give you your own part of the land. You know those some that was free that had their own part of the land. They gave them their own part of the land. So this is what Esau done. It was crafty. This is what he said. He said to them, "But you lot can go, but if any of the slaves run away and go there, just return them to us." That's what they said, because they wanted to keep their slaves, but because they couldn't deal with these, like they just sent them away. And then they said to them, "You know what? If anyone else runs away, return them." But what did the Maroons do? They wasn't returning them. And what they used to do is they used to wait in trees and whatnot. And then after that, Esau started coming with guns and whatnot, started shooting at them. Whereas before, the Maroons was putting them to flight, man. I'm sure, yeah, it's called the Maroon Wars. I got the book on it. I need to go over it one day, but go ahead. I can't remember what his name was, but in the end, I'm sure they fell out amongst each other and they broke off into different sects and factions. And that's how they break us down. Different sects and factions, then they conquer all of us. The sects and factions that got us in today is what? Islam, Christianity, Egyptology. Go ahead.
What was that? 1 Kings 10 and
14.
And 14. Now the weight of the gold that came to
hold on, I thought we didn't know what gold was, man.
Now the weight of the gold.
I thought we was just kicking gold around on the floor because we're so stupid and we don't know what gold is.
Weight of the gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 636 talents.
Listen, man, that's how much gold came to Solomon. I don't know how much that is. That just sounds heavy to me, though. That sounds like a whole lot, man. Sounds like Solomon had a whole lot of gold. So how are you going to say we didn't know what gold was? That we was kicking gold across the floor? That's a lie, man. We knew what gold was, but these nations robbed us, man. That's all it is. They're making out we're so stupid, like we're gonna just see gold and kick it. Go ahead. When you look at gold, we the main ones who wear gold, man, but we don't know what gold is. We the ones who make gold cool, man. We the ones that first started having gold in our mouth, gold on our wrist, gold chains. We those flashy people, man, with all the gold and whatnot. They're making out like that's something we learned here. No, man, it's always been in our spirit to have gold, man. The Lord gave us that flashy spirit of, we like nice things, man. We like to shine, man. You know when you see it, you know when you see a black man, obviously nowadays people look at it like, oh, he's boasting and he's arrogant. Nah, man, he just loves to shine, man. Ain't nothing wrong with shining. We love to shine, man. And this is why Passover brothers go so hard on their outfits, man. They've been mapping it out. They've been drawing things, thinking, I wonder if this color will go with that color. I wonder if these boots will go with this. Get me, brothers come with the matching boots to match. Listen, it's only us that do these things, man. They make out like we're so stupid. Go ahead.
Of gold. Besides that, he had merchantmen and of the traffic of the spice merchants and of all the kings of Arabia and the governors of the country. And King Solomon made 200 targets of beaten gold, 600.
Listen, Solomon's molding this gold into stuff, man. Go ahead.
Of beaten gold. Yeah, 600 shekels of gold went to one target.
Listen, man. Solomon's got this gold, man. And people saying we don't know what gold was. Of course we did. Solomon is one of our forefathers, the wisest man on the face of the earth, and he knew what to do with gold, man. Go ahead.
Verse 17. And he made 300 eels of beaten gold.
He made what?
300 eels of beaten gold.
Listen, man. Solomon was using this gold and making stuff. Go ahead.
3 pounds of gold went to one eel, and the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon.
Listen, man. The king was making stuff with gold. Go ahead.
Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory and
listen. Solomon is making thrones of. He made a great throne of ivory, man. Go ahead.
And overlaid it with the best gold.
With what?
With the best gold.
With the best gold, man. Solomon wasn't dealing with no 9-carat gold, man. Solomon wasn't dealing with no what? 24-carat, 18-carat, and 24-carat gold. Solomon was dealing with the best gold, man. You see, like now how they got different carats of gold. Solomon used the best carat you could get, man. Not this watered down gold that they give you nowadays, man. Not this gold that they give you, which is what mixed with many other metals, right? It's mixed with many other metals. They tell you it's one thing, but really, obviously, we wouldn't know because obviously we ain't no gold expert, so we don't know what they're giving us. All we know is that it shines and it looks nice. Listen, Solomon had the best gold, man. Go ahead.
And the throne had 6 steps.
And the throne had 6 steps. Go ahead.
And the top of the throne was round behind, and there were sedges on either side on the place of the seat. And
listen, man, Solomon made this place look glorious, man. 6 steps, all the gold, the ivory. Go ahead.
And the 2 lions stood beside the stays.
And he had what? 2 lions, man. 2 lions that stood beside the stays, man. Obviously, it's not real lions, man. People think it's on about real lions now. It's
like furniture lions.
Yeah, like furniture lions, like what you see. Go ahead. I'm sure Selassie tried to replicate it, right? Yeah, I'm sure Selassie tried to replicate it. Basically, it's like them lions that Rastas have in their house. You see a ton of Rastas with them. Go ahead.
And 12 lions stood there on the one side and on the other side upon the 6 steps.
And he had the 12 lions on one side and 12 on the other side of the 6 steps. Go ahead.
There was not the like made in any kingdom.
And there was not the like made in any kingdom. So now, after Solomon's death and after we lost the temple, guess what? They found in other countries where they tried to replicate Solomon's temple. I can't remember what it's called. Have you heard about it? Where they tried to replicate it. They've tried to.
I know Ethiopia is one that tried to replicate that.
Yeah, they read the Bible because the Bible gives you the blueprint of how it was made. So they've used books and they've tried to replicate it. It had the same things that Solomon had in theirs. They put theirs in there. They tried to make it the same height. I'll find out the names of them for you before the end of the class. But they found like 2 or 3, which came way after Solomon's temple. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And all King Solomon's drinking vessels were of gold.
Hold on. His cups was what?
Vessels were of gold.
Listen, man, you think people having gold cups is a new thing? This ain't new, man. King Solomon had gold cups. You think people having gold cups and gold toilets nowadays is a new thing? Nah, man. Solomon had all of this stuff. He said his drinking vessels were of gold. So you mean to say we didn't know what gold was? Of course we did, man. Solomon had drinking vessels of gold. A vessel is something which holds something. A vessel, the drinking vessels is the cups, man. Solomon had like one of these all in gold and whatnot, man. Solomon was drinking out of gold. Solomon had gold dishes, man. Solomon's dishes was of gold, man. Go ahead when you get a chance.
Were of gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold.
Listen, man, you're hearing gold, man. We didn't know what gold was. That's a damn lie. Next time someone tells you, we didn't know what gold was, you better pull the scripture where it says Solomon was black, and you pull the scripture where Solomon's drinking out of a gold vessel, man. Solomon drinking out of a gold cup, where Solomon put gold on the throne, man. Go ahead.
None were of silver.
Listen, Solomon didn't even want silver, man. None was of Solomon weren't dealing with that sterling silver, man. Go ahead.
You know, it's funny. That's black people even till this day.
Exactly.
you would rather the gold.
Exactly.
Like, no one wants like
the silver.
Silver chain.
Exactly.
You got it.
Exactly.
No one wants that.
Which black man chooses a silver tooth over a gold one? No. The only way a black man has silver is what? Because the gold's too expensive, man. But Solomon had the money and he didn't have nothing of silver. Silver was looked at as cheap, sterling silver. Nah, man. Only now we probably get silver because we can't afford gold. And when we do get silver, we lie and say that it's white gold anyway. We lie and tell you that it's white gold when really silver. Go ahead.
It was nothing accounted of in the days of Solomon.
Listen, man, Solomon had no silver, man. Solomon had pure gold, which lets you know black people knew what gold was, man. Go ahead.
Verse 22. For the king had at sea a navy of the Arshish, which the navy of Iram. Once in 3 years came the navy of the Arshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes and
listen, man.
peacocks.
Them ships used to bring what? Gold, ivory. People make out like we was just in the jungle, ready to starve to death. Didn't have no trade or nothing. Listen, man. Solomon had ships bringing gold, man, ivory, silver, and everything. Go ahead.
Peacocks. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom.
Listen, man. King Solomon exceeded all the earth for riches and for wisdom. And also another thing, what you need to realize is our riches is different to Esau's riches. Esau's riches is what? Paper money. Esau's riches is paper money, whereas our riches is what? Substance. I mean, what can you do with paper money? You take what? You take £1 billion English pounds to somewhere like China and you pull it on the till. There's nothing you can do with that, man. That is useless. But the substance that we had, sheep and take a sheep anywhere in the world, man. You can sell that, man. Take a goat anywhere in the world, you can sell that. Go ahead.
In this day, if you go on a farm, want to buy a baby sheep, that's £600 easily.
See, £600 easily, man. You take a sheep to any country, no matter what language they speak, man. A sheep's a sheep, no matter where you go, man. But an English pound, you can't use that in somewhere like you can't use that in America. An English pound, you can't use that in where Iraq. But a sheep is a sheep, no matter where you go, man. Obviously, we had real substance and whatnot. Go ahead. Back then, we had all the farms, everything, crops. Whereas, what if the system was to crash? Listen, if the system was to crash, what's paper money going to do? A £20 note is just a piece of paper, man. Whereas with a sheep can go a long way. Go ahead.
Verse 24. And all the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom.
And the whole earth came to hear this black man's wisdom. Teach us that during Black History, man. Don't teach me about Martin Luther King, man. Teach me about King Solomon, man, who was wise, man. Teach me about that, man. And then maybe hearing about how rich and wise Solomon was, it might inspire me to do the same, man. It might give me some inspiration to do the same, man. instead of what you're telling me about Martin Luther King, which means I must love you all day, man. Which means I must love you all day. You're telling me about Marcus Garvey, which means what? I must want to jump on this back to Africa movement, man. Nah, man. I don't want to hear about none of that. Tell me the real truth about Black history. Go ahead.
Which God had put in his heart.
Listen, man. God gave him all that wisdom. Drop that. Give me Psalms 105 and verse 23. Teach me about that, man. That's what I want to know. I would like to know that.
All right, Psalms 105 and 23. Israel also came into Egypt.
Israel also what?
Came into Egypt.
Go ahead.
And Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham.
Listen, man. It says Israel came into Egypt and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. And guess what? Us, when we fled into West Africa, Israel sojourned in the land of Ham, man. So how the hell did we go to West Africa and become African? Here, Jacob didn't become African when he sojourned in the land of Ham. He went there, man, and just sojourned there. Like us, when we fled into West Africa, we sojourned in the land of Ham, man. And then now, all of a sudden, what? We're African. How does that make sense, man? They don't teach you your history before that. All of a sudden, they teach us that we're African. Oh, because really, you Ghanaian. You Ghanaian. Is that what they say we Ghanaian? Yeah. I'm sure they say we Ghanaian and they say Jude is what, Nigerian. That's what they say. Listen, they say we Ghanaian. Listen, we ain't Ghanaian, man. Ghanaians are Hamites. We ain't no Hamites, man. We're Israelites that sojourned in that land. That's all it is. Listen to this. If we Ghanaian, we in England right now, that would make us what, white men? That means we're white men if we was Ghanaian. If it just changes like that, that means now we Esau if that was the case. Listen, man, you're the seed of your fathers. It doesn't matter where you live. That's it. And give me Psalms 106 and verse 35.
Psalms 106.
So we sojourned in the land of Ham. We went into Egypt. When we was in Egypt, we came out still being Israelites. The Lord didn't say, you know what, you're all one now. The Lord only delivered the Israelites, man. He didn't say we was all one. Go ahead.
Psalms 106 and 35. But were mingled among the heathens.
So now, we sojourn amongst these heathens. We mingled amongst the heathens. We living amongst them. Go ahead.
And learn their works. And while we was in West Africa, there's a ton of things that we do today that we learned from them, like what, the 9 nights, the banging the drums, witchcraft, what did they call it, obier and all of that. We learned all of that. We learned banging of the drums at funerals, and this is why you see all these Rastas banging drums and screaming like Jah and all of this nonsense. All these things is things that we learned from the heathens, man. All these things is things which we learned from the heathens, because we was mingled amongst them and learnt their ways when we was meant to be there, but we wasn't meant to learn their ways, man. If anything, make them learn your ways, man. Why do we have to always learn everybody else's ways? Why do we always have to do what they do, man? And this is where all this 9-night celebration comes from. Because back how we used to do funerals is what? When you're dead, a man would what? Wrap your body in some sackcloth, put some rope, ribbon, tie you with some rope, put you in barrier, and then that was the end of that, man. That was the end of that. Put you in a tomb. That was it, man. But what happens now? 9 nights. Everybody comes around, eats, drinks, parties, bangs drums, talks about, oh, I had a dream about them yesterday and they was in heaven and all of this nonsense, man. Oh, I dreamt them. This is what black people say. I dreamt about my grandma, and then what do they say that means? They say that means what? They visited them. All of this nonsense. Listen, man, when you was alive, they didn't even visit you, man, because they couldn't stand you, man. What makes you think they want to see you when they're dead, man? That's a lie, man. They visited. Listen, my mom says it all the time. She's saying, yeah, because I dreamt of my mom the other day, she visited me. I was looking and say, okay. They'll just say, okay, she visited me. Listen, man, once you're dead, man. All of this nonsense we learn from Africa. Even in Africa, they do some things where sometimes they keep the body for is it like a year?
They keep the body for like a year. Sometimes they keep the body for up to 3 years to 5 years, saving up for the funeral. And this is why our funerals is so expensive, because what? It's something that we learned from Africa, man. We learned that we must have the venue with the food, the drinks, the best send-off ever, the most expensive coffin, the best clothes. Meanwhile, when the person was alive, you didn't care that their clothes was all ripped and whatnot, man. But now they're dead, what? You want to put them in the best clothes, all of this nonsense. Listen, man. All these things is things which we learned amongst the heathen. Go ahead.
Verse 36. And they served their idols.
And also we served their idols. So now, what gods do we serve now? Some of these African gods I don't even know the name of. These Egyptian gods, Esau's god, the Arabs' god. We mingled amongst the heathens and we serve their idols, man. We serve them. And this is why we're in the condition we're in. And they want us to keep serving their gods, because they know if we was to serve our own God, this place would come crashing down, man, and we'd be out of this place in no time. But because we continue to disobey God, we're just going to be here for longer than we need to be here. The sooner we stop disobeying God, the sooner we can be out of England, man. Go ahead.
Which were a snare unto them.
Which were a snare unto them, a trap unto us, man. And this Black History Month that Esau gives us, this is a snare unto us also, man.
That's right.
It's a snare unto us, man. It's a trap to keep you asleep. To keep you asleep, man. They don't teach you about how you was before slavery, man. I'm telling you, every nation on this face of the earth, their history is what? The best parts of it. It's like you and Instagram. It's like you women and Instagram. You women don't post on Instagram how you look without makeup and how you look first thing in the morning, because obviously that's when you're at a loss. But once you put on all the makeup, you post it, and then the throwbacks that you put up is what? You in your tight skirt, you in your short skirt, you with all your makeup on. You show your best parts. You don't show the parts when your hair was short and picky. You don't show the parts where your hair was short and wouldn't grow. Why don't you show it? Because obviously you don't want people to see that part. But with us, they show us the worst parts of our life, man. They show us the slave ships that we was on. They show us the poor ghettos we live in. They only show us the bad things, man. You know, everybody in life hides something. Everyone hides behind the internet and posts the best thing in their life. But really, the bad parts of their life, no one posts. But with us, during Black History Month, you would have thought during Black History Month, you show the best things of people's culture. During us, they show us taking all the losses, man. Show us going on the slave ships. Show us getting our backs whipped. But when it comes to their history, what do they show? They show the queen. Esau don't show the part when they lived in the caves, man. They don't show that part. They don't show when they lived in the Caucasus Mountains. They don't show that part, man. They don't show the part when they was our slaves during the Dark Ages. They don't show that part, man. Guess what they do show? They show the Borgias. They show the Queen's family. They show the Rothschilds. They show Bill Gates. They show all the richest Edomites and all the billionaires. They show all their good parts, but they don't ever show the bad parts. But with us, they show the bad parts, and then they have us thinking that our whole life is bad parts, man. They have us thinking that our whole life is bad parts and there's no good parts to our life. Go ahead.
And what you're saying is heavy because, like, with the East Indians, they have a day called Baisakhi, and that's a day where they basically they never beat the English, but it's a day where they was independent, and they're celebrating the good that looked like, you know what I mean? With the land that we had, it was independent. Even the Vietnamese, you know what I mean? Their whole Vietnam Day is that they won a war against America, who was stronger than them, better weapons, but because they knew their land so well, they beat America and they celebrate that day because that's their good. No one celebrates their bad, like, you know, I was a slave.
Exactly. Oh, we do.
I'm celebrating this day. This is the ducks I went on, like.
Exactly. You know we celebrate that. Only we celebrate that. This is the slave ship we went on. This is the whip we got our backs whipped with. To so much that there's even a museum of our slavery, man. What's it called? The one in Liverpool? I can't remember what it's called.
It's called the Museum of Slavery.
Yeah, the Museum of Slavery. And guess what happens? See Esau all in there with their cameras taking pictures of their handiwork, man. Esau taking pictures of their handiwork so they can show it to their kids, their wife at home. And then you have us in there smiling with them. Listen, man, they're showing off their handiwork. And we go there, and that's the only thing they show us is these slave ships and so forth. But drop that. Give me. Give me Genesis chapter 46 and verse 30. Even in the time of Joseph, man, we was never meant to come together with all nations. You know what we should have done? When we sojourned amongst these nations, and also what would let you know is, first, when we did go into these lands, we was amongst ourselves, man. Because even now, you see, when you go places like Jamaica, Ghana and places, they got a place called Little Jamaica. In them places, they got a place where it's just Jamaican people on one side, which lets you know we're still somewhat separate in them places, man. If we was all one, they wouldn't name it that, man. But they know that we're different, man. Go ahead.
Genesis
46 and 30.
And the 30th verse. And Israel said unto Joseph, now let me die, since I have seen thy face.
So Israel, his name was Jacob. It was changed to Israel. He said, what? Let me die now that I've seen your face, because he thought his son Joseph, he thought his son got torn by an animal. He thought his son got torn by an animal, but really he was sold. I'm sure he was sold to the Arabs, then they sold him to someone else. And then Jacob thought his son was dead, but he wasn't dead. Go ahead. So that's what he's talking about when he goes, now I can die in peace that I've seen your face. Because all this time I was mourning, thinking he's lost the son. Go ahead.
Because thou art yet alive. And Joseph said unto his brethren and unto his father's house, I will go up and show Pharaoh and say unto him, my brethren.
So listen, Joseph was in Egypt for all them years. Joseph didn't ever say them Africans was his brothers, man. Joseph didn't say, you know what, I've been living here. They've gave me a good position. They've treated me good. They're my brothers. Joseph didn't say that, man. Joseph called Israelites his brethren that he didn't see for years, man.
That's right.
The same ones who was jealous of him at the time and sold him, he forgave them and said, my brethren, man, because they was his brothers. Joseph understood who his brothers was, man. Joseph was living amongst all them Egyptians, and not once did he call them his brother, man. He understood who his brothers were. Go ahead. So don't be like missed calling these what do you call them? His Apnars and his Apnars and Karlas, his brothers. The Karlas are your brothers because that means black, but the Apnars ain't your brothers, man. Go ahead. Oh, speaking of that, have you seen that tune he's made with the Indian man?
No.
With the full-on Indian man, like full-on singing Indian. You ain't seen it?
No.
You know them Indian songs that you'll hear outside the temple? Singing that kind of... I'm gonna find it for you after class. Go ahead. Find it for you after class.
And my father's house, which were in the land of Canaan.
Which were in the land of Canaan, which is what? The land of Israel. It was called the land of Canaan because what? The Canaanites were there at the time. Go ahead.
And come unto me. So, come unto me. The men are shepherds.
And he said, the men are shepherds. You know why? He told them what we do. The men are shepherds because what? The Egyptians hate the shepherds. Go ahead.
For their trade have been to feed cattle.
And the Egyptians hated men that feeded cattle. Go ahead.
And they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have.
And listen, man, Joseph didn't want his brothers to come there and fit in, man. Joseph didn't want his brothers to come there and do what? Be like the Nation of Islam, put on a three-piece suit, man. Shave face. He didn't want his brothers to do that. And no word of a lie. When you look at every black organization in the world, man, I.S.U.P.K is the only one who is different to everybody else, man. All these other ones do what? Dress like their oppressor, speak like their oppressor, behave like their oppressor. It's only in here where what? You're allowed to be a black man, man. This is the only place where you're allowed to be a black man. And the rest of the world looks at us like we were unintelligent, we're arrogant, we're silly, because they believe what? If you're not behaving how your oppressor behaves, you're illiterate and you're stupid. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass when when Pharaoh shall call you and shall say, what is your occupation? That ye shall say, thy servants trade have been about cattle.
And you should say your trade has been about cattle. How do you apply that to today? We be what? We be UPK so much that what? Esau don't even want to mess with us, man. He don't even want to be around us, man. He don't even want to be nowhere near us. He sees how we are at camp. We don't speak nice to please him. We be black, and people even listen. We're so black. People say things like, "Oh, you like need to get a job." What they're trying to say is black men can't have a job. What they're trying to say is you can't be black and behave how black people do and have a job. That's what they're trying to say when they tell us get a job. Like the thing, like what do they think? Do they think the microphone's free? Do they think the speaker's free? Do they think the campsite is free? Get a job. Do they think petrol to London's free? Listen, man. People always come up with their silly remarks. All these things ain't free, man. It costs money. Go ahead.
From our youth even until now, both we and also our father, that ye may dwell in the land of ocean.
And Joseph said this so that these could be put separate from the Egyptians, man, because he didn't want them mixing. Same like what happens, Jamaican men go to Ethiopia, and then what did they realize? Them Ethiopians is a dirty set of people, and they don't even want to be around them, man. Listen, my dad went there thinking it's the motherland, and it took him to go there and realize that the Ethiopians is a nasty set of people, man. It took him to go there and realize that they're not the same. I've been telling him we're not the same for ages. He went there and now realizes that we're not the same. Now realizes all of this stuff about a Nubian queen is nonsense, and how them women over there are filthy, and how them Ethiopian men are filthy. It took him to go there to realize this. I could have saved him the trip. I told him he could have just listened. I mean, if he listened, he could have saved his money. Go ahead.
So if I kind of add to that, it's like that black guy. His name's the Michael J. Fox. He does like those. He does a lot of action films.
Oh yeah, the fighting ones. Yeah.
Yeah, he went to YAHANNA, and you know, obviously he's famous, so they gave him the Ashanti role, and he made him sit on like the Ashanti throne as well. But now on camera, the business look like, yeah, you mean welcome back. But then when they asked him, it's like they didn't really welcome me. All of that was just to make you look good. But how they was presenting me, I didn't feel like I was at home. See, which lets you know that he's what? Completely different to them, man. If he went somewhere like Jamaica and whatnot, they would have treated him good, man. They would have treated him way better, man. Go ahead. For every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians. Every shepherd is an abomination unto the Egyptians, man. Joseph wanted us separate from them. But for time's sake, come on, give me Luke chapter 21 and verse 20. So now we went over how we in the first lesson about how we started, how we was ruling the earth, how our forefathers was Solomon, had gold and whatnot. Now we're gonna get more up to date. They just teach you history from roundabout. They don't even teach you this history. They teach you after this. But go ahead. Luke, what's that? 21 and 20. And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies. So now, this is how we got into West Africa now. This is how. First we was where? In Jerusalem. It says when you see it compassed with armies, meaning what? All the Romans with their army gear and whatnot. Go ahead. Then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. The desolation when what? When they desolated what? Jerusalem, when they're about to destroy our land. Go ahead. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. And let what? Them which is in Judea flee unto the mountains, meaning what? We had to run away and leave that land. So what did we do? We took some of our records with us, the important ones, took them, buried most of them. And because they had to flee, they buried the records. And then now they're finding the records today. And the record that they're finding is the scrolls which match up with the King James Bible. They found the Dead Sea Scrolls in what the Qumran caves. Right. They found it and it matches up with the Bible. And when you look at the history of the Bible,
it wasn't even translated from the Dead Sea Scrolls. It was translated from what the Textus Receptus, which means what the received text. It was translated from the received text, and when they paralleled it side by side, it was accurate, man. And speaking of that, Officer Parash has got a lecture coming up, crushing Islam, man. And do you remember the date for it?
Well, it's gonna be end of November, about the 30th.
The end of November the 30th. Come down to the school. We got that lecture. Officer Craft has got a lecture, which is Britain's Great Britain is great, but not for the slaves. That's the title of it, right? That one is in December. Yeah, and then I got one coming up in January. I'll tell you more about it later on. Go ahead.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
And it says, them which is in Judea flee to the mountains. So this is when Christ said, when you see, he was telling them, yo, when you see these things happening, the desolation is nigh, and you better leave this place. Go ahead.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out.
It says, them which is in the middle depart, meaning get out of the city, man. Save your life, get out of the city. Go ahead.
And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
And it says, you that ain't there, that's away from it, don't enter it, man. You know why? Because the Romans was killing everybody, man. They was killing every black and Hispanic man. They was killing every Israelite. Go ahead.
For these be the days of vengeance.
Go ahead.
That all things which are written may be fulfilled.
All things which is written may be fulfilled, man. And all these things, this Christ said, this is the beginning of it, man. When they destroyed Jerusalem, the desolation is nigh. Also, go ahead.
Now, that's heavy. So Christ letting you know that everything written in the Bible would happen after Jerusalem was destroyed. So
exactly.
for people that saying, Deuteronomy 28 and 68, we're talking about when the Babylonians and they took the 10 tribes across the sea to their land. Well, it wasn't fulfilled till he said that, listen, once this happens.
Exactly. Goes, this is like the beginning, and everything will happen after that. Anyone on that?
No.
And also, Christ said, what? They're going to destroy the temple. That happened, man. That happened. And then when you read it in history books, you can't even Google it. Will tell you that they didn't leave a stone upon another. They knocked it down so much, they destroyed it. And then what did Herod do first? He changed it to what? Herod's temple. So he's mocked it. He's changed it to Herod's temple, and they've destroyed it. And how do you destroy people? You take away their place of worship. You take away what they believe. You destroy everything. So they destroyed all of that. Once they destroyed the temple, guess what? Over time, we don't even know that we had a temple where we used to worship in, man. You destroy all of the groves, everything, our altars. We didn't know we had these things because it's been destroyed. It's been taken away from us. Go ahead.
To prove this fact, there's a coin called the Judea Victor, which in Latin means the victory over Judea. And there's like a woman on the floor crying. It's on the coin, and a Roman like standing above her. They conquered.
Would you be able to get that and screen share it? Yeah, see if you can find that and screen share it. Yeah. All these things which they've taken from us, they destroyed everything for a reason. Because if you're going to destroy people, you have to destroy everything that they claim to, man. You have to leave them with nothing. Then over time they'll forget that they ever had it. They'll forget they ever had it. And we are people that's forgot that we've ever had it, man. We are people that didn't even know we had a temple. We are people that didn't even know we had an altar. We are people that didn't even know we used to offer up sacrifices on the altar and whatnot. We are people that didn't know that Solomon's temple belonged to us. Solomon's temple was what? Destroyed 2 times. It was destroyed the first time, then they built it again. And then what? Herod changed the name to Herod's temple. And then you can look it up, we called it Herod's temple. And then they destroyed that. And then now we where are we now? We're nowhere near, we're in slavery right now, away from everything that we had, not knowing that all these things existed. But we're just going to try and find that coin for you. Yeah, that one. I don't think they'll be able to see it too.
I'll put it on camera. I'm looking for if you can't looking for now, I'll bring the camera close to. So I elaborate. So on the left hand side, on the
If you lift the camera up, you should be able to see it. If you, yeah. I'll let you know. Yeah, you can see it a bit. Yeah, you can see it.
All right, so the coin on the left, the side on the left is on the right hand side of that left coin. It's a woman. She's basically upset that the land's destroyed, and the soldier, he's on the left, in between the palm tree, like basically like they'll be Judea. It's called the Judea captor coin, which is Latin for with Judea, it's been captured, and on the right they have to leave the land. So now the woman again, she basically had to leave. She got exiled, and again there's the Roman guy basically watching.
Right.
So that's history. That's not just some make believe.
Right.
Also, there's another coin I'll grab in a second.
Also, let me see it.
I've got another.
The camera needs to be more.
Right. And again, this is. All right. So.
Yeah, you can see it.
So before, like the Romans captured the land, with the Israelites, they put up a really good fight, and the Roman soldiers had to back up first. So that was the coin made first, saying that like the face on the left is the Romans having to run away. So first with the Israelites, they made their coin when they was winning.
Right.
Then when the Romans won, they made their coin like, listen, we captured you. Man.
Exactly.
Shut up.
And if you look at it today, what we would have today, we would be the black history that they show us is the coin when the Romans is winning. That would be the coin that they would be showing us today. Like they wouldn't show us this coin during history. Listen, ask them during Black history what battle have black people ever won. They won't tell you not one. In history, it's like black people's never won a battle when we've won many, but no one mentions it. But yeah, that was it. That I wanted to say. Carry on if you got anything else to bring out. That'll be more this way because it's showing the door, so more. Yeah, turn it more. Yeah, more. Bit more. Yeah, a little bit more. Yeah, that's 12. Yeah, that's 12. So yeah, we got defeated by the Romans. We had to leave the land. We had to flee. And then what happened? We fled into West Africa, man, and surrounding places. And then we ended up there, and we was there for how long? Like 1,000 years. Right. We was there for like 1,000 years. And then what happened? Listen, you would have thought, being there 1,000 years, you would have thought they would, accept us, but they didn't, man. Even after 1,000 years, they realized you wasn't the same, man. You trying to love them after 1,000 years, they realize what? You're a nigger and they're African, man. After 1,000 years, they realize that. And you think in England that you're gonna be respected. Nah, man. These people realize that you're a complete different nation to them, man. They're a nation that's conquered you, and the nation that's conquered you tells you when your Black History Month is, man. They say, you know what, we've conquered you. There you go. You can have Black History Month in October. You can have it in October. And then the history that you are giving in October is lies. But if I could give me Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6.
Hosea 4 and 6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge.
So my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, man. And we destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And you know why we destroyed as well? Because the Romans destroyed everything that we had, man.
That's right.
They destroyed the temple. They destroyed the groves, the altars, the images, the everything, man. They destroyed everything that we had. Everything that we had, they destroyed. And that's how you conquer a people. You destroy their place of worship. You destroy their belief system. And then once you destroy their belief, this is what they've done. They destroyed our belief system and gave us their belief system. And then we've took on their belief system and we think it's for us, man, not realizing that what? Solomon's temple was our place of worship, man. The land of Israel was our land. It's been destroyed so much that we don't even know. And we destroyed for a lack of knowledge because we don't want to do no research. Black History Month, all we want to do is sit down and Talk about how great Martin Luther King was. Talk about what is it, Rosa Parks?
Yeah.
Talk about Rosa Parks sitting on the back of the bus. Marcus Garvey going back to Africa. That's all they teach us, man. Our history is what? Us under defense. Our history that they give us is always history of us under defense. Why don't they give us the real history of how we had land and a temple and we ruled the earth and we had the wisest man on the face of the earth? They won't ever give us that, but we don't even want to research it, so we destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Go ahead.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge.
And we also reject knowledge, man. There's plenty of ways where you can find this truth. We also reject knowledge. Now you have the internet, man. You don't even need to go. Listen, you don't even need to move off the couch, man. You can learn a breakdown and you don't even have to get off the couch. You don't even have to get off, you don't even have to get out of bed, man. Everyone's got iPhones and Samsungs. You can watch a listen, you see what brothers in the UPK had to read a whole book for. Took them 6 months to read the damn book. You can just watch a 2-hour class and get the best parts of the whole book. You don't even have to read the book yourself, man. Nowadays, you're being spoon-fed and people still reject the knowledge, man. Just imagine without the internet, when you're looking for a verse in the Bible and you lose it and you ain't got it written. Do you know how hard it would have been to find that verse? Nowadays, you got that Google where you can paraphrase it and it will come up. Just imagine without the internet, man, you're looking for a certain verse and you notice in the book of Isaiah. Listen, you got to read every chapter to find that, man. Without the internet. Now knowledge, you can have it now, man. It's right here in front of your face. Go ahead.
I will also reject thee.
And now we're in England. Because what? We wanted to follow other nations. We want to learn Black History Month from heathens and nations that can't stand us. That's something that give me Judges chapter 3 and verse 5. The Lord said he will also reject us, man. Why? Because we don't want to serve him, man. We want to reject knowledge. When the Lord's given us the knowledge that will change our lives, that will change our condition, that will get us out of this hellhole, man. Which will get us out of this hellhole.
The book of Judges 3 and 5, and the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites.
And the what?
They dwelt among the Canaanites.
And now it says the children of Israel dwelt amongst the Canaanites, which is who? Hamites, man. When we fled out of Jerusalem, where did we dwell? Amongst Hamites, man. Go ahead.
Hittites and Amorites.
Listen, man, we dwell amongst Ghanaians and Nigerians, man. Go ahead.
And
is it Parasites?
Parasites.
Parasites. Listen, we dwell amongst these African nations, man. We dwell amongst them, and then while we was in West Africa, dwelling amongst these Hamites, guess what they did? Give me Joel chapter 3 and verse 3. So keep that in mind in the book of Judges. We dwelt amongst Hamites. Same like when we went to West Africa, we dwelt amongst Hamites. Now the book of Judges chapter 3 and verse 3. And then we're going to see what happened, man. We're going to see what happened. We're going to see if the Bible's true or if the Bible's not true, man. Let's see if the Bible's true or if the Bible's not true.
Joel 3 and 3. The book of Joel 3 and 3. And they have cast lots for my people.
Go ahead.
And have given a boy for an harlot.
They did what?
And given a boy for an harlot.
And during slavery, what did they do, man? Them Hamites sold us to Europeans, man. And it weren't just the average African man selling us. They had a thing called the African, I can't remember what it's Congress, whatever. Basically, they was like what? They was like that. It was like a company business. It weren't just some random African man grabbing you and selling you. It weren't that. Basically, it'd be like the government today saying the Windrush generation have to go back. This government back then was the ones rounding us up and selling us to Europeans, man. Go ahead. It was a business. Slavery was a business. Slavery weren't just some random Hamite coming and selling us. It was a business, man. Go ahead.
And sold a girl for wine.
And sold a girl for wine, man. Go ahead.
That they may drink.
So it says they sold the boy for a harlot and sold the girl for wine, man. Meaning they gave up a girl for a bottle of wine. Go ahead.
Yea, what have ye to do
And then,
with me?
that's it on that. Read that part from the top.
They have cast lots for my people.
Go ahead.
And have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they may drink.
And read this from page 159. And now we're going to see if the Bible's true, man, because the Bible says what? We were sold by them African nations, man. Let's see if history and the Bible adds up. Go ahead.
From the book, The History of Jamaica, from 1494 to 1838.
Listen, this right here, this book is way after the Bible's written, right? This is way after the Bible's written. Go ahead. The original one. Anyway, go ahead.
Written by
Hebrew, go ahead.
the Bolt Ed Grenard. We got it right. It is believed that more than 2 million slaves were carried to the English colonies in the West Indies.
Says what? More than what?
2 million slaves were carried to the English colonies.
So now when they teach you about history, this is the only history that they teach you about, that 2 million slaves were carried to the English colonies. And also, 2 million slaves were carried to the English colonies. Guess what? Some of our brothers was carried to what? The other colonies, the French colonies, the Spanish colonies, the Dutch colonies, and the Portuguese colonies. So if you combine all that number, that's a whole lot. 2 million was carried to the English colonies. The English colonies is like what? Jamaica, Trinidad. I think obviously the French, they still kept hold of is it Dominica? The French kept Dominica and Martinique, right? The French kept Dominica, Martinique, and them kind of places. But the English basically conquered the Spanish, because obviously Jamaica originally was what? A Spanish colony. It was a Spanish colony. The Native Americans was there first. And then the British, seen that slavery was good and it was working, they came with 6,000 foot soldiers, kicked the Spanish off the land, took it over. The Spanish was too weak to fight back. The Spanish came with ships to try and fight back. Then what the British done is they set up pirates. So that's where pirates got set up. They set up pirates. Pirates is those that plunder ships, rob ships. So they set up the pirates to plunder the Spanish ships, to stop the Spanish from coming to Jamaica and trying to take control again. Then after a while, the Spanish surrendered. And then the British basically said to the pirates that they set up, okay, we don't need you no more. We got no work. So then what happened is the pirates started to do what? They said, you got no work for us. Okay. So the pirates started to rob the British. And then after that, the British set up pirate hunters to hunt the pirates. So really the British set up everything. They set up the pirates. Then once the pirates had no more work, they set up the pirate hunters. So you had the pirates that was robbing the British ships that was coming in with all this gold and everything else. And then they set up the pirate hunters to conquer the pirates. And then before you know it, you had what? The sea full of everyone just fighting and trying to rob. And everything was set up off the back of slavery, man. Pirates, pirate hunters, everyone robbing everything, man. And the pirates, yeah, people keep saying, oh, the pirates was black. No, man, they weren't. What happened with the pirates is what? When the pirates would plunder a slave ship, they would take black people, which was skillful in certain things, and the black people that were skillful in certain things, like say they were skillful in war, they would take them and add them to their pirate team and be like, all right, you're going to do this, but they're still a slave, but they'll just take them because they know that was beneficial. Same like today, Michael Jordan's still a slave, but it's beneficial. Same like today, what's his name? I can't remember his name. The greatest, one of the greatest war veterans, the black one that got shot in the head and they still ain't found his body. Is his name William Tull or something? William Tull. Same like him. He was beneficial, but he's still a slave at the end of the day. Same like that. That's the same thing what they done with the pirates. But go ahead.
English colonies in the West Indies alone between 1680 and 1786. Slaves were brought on the African shores. So slaves were brought on the African shores, but not for money.
Listen, man, these slaves weren't even brought for money. These slaves weren't even brought for money. They thought so lowly of us that what they brought us for wasn't even money, man. They didn't even want to pay money for you. Go ahead, it's going to tell you what they paid for us.
Except the Portuguese,
Go ahead.
explains Reynald, all nations roughly trade them for the same things.
All nations roughly trade them for the same things. Now, we're going to see what they traded black people for. Go ahead.
Such as swords.
Listen, man, they swapped a black man for a sword. Go ahead.
Rifles.
Rifles, man.
A cannon powder.
A cannon powder, man.
Steel, brandy, hardware.
Brandy hardware, which means what? A black man was worth what? Less than hardware. So if this is the only history that they teach us, why are we going to come together? Why are we going to love each other? When you look at another black man, you just look at him as hardware, man. You just look at him as he's worth nothing. He's worth a bottle of brandy. This is why we kill each other so much, because we look at each other like we're not worth nothing. We look at each other like what? We're worth a bottle of brandy. We're worth hardware. We're worth wood. We're worth flooring. Go ahead.
The carpets, glass.
Listen, for glass. For glass, you know. Listen, man. We was drinking out of gold cups, man, and now they're swapping us for glass, man. Meaning what? The people that you love so much, your oppressor, looks at you as less than glass. Meaning what? These Africans that you want to be so much, these Ghanaians and Nigerians that you want to be so much, they did what? Looked at you as a piece of glass, man. As a piece of glass. And then people always ask, what do they ask? How do you know what tribe you're from if you oversold? Basically, well, it is different slave masters had links with different Africans. So an African would have the bulk of people here, and he'd be like, yeah, I got this much. And then this slave master had links with this man, he would go and get them. Then the other one who had links with that one would go and get them. So that's how you know. Like the way it was set up, the Lord doing it in a way where we all were still together as tribes kind of thing. So they came and got us like that. So it wasn't just some random African man kidnapping us, and it was like a government thing. Go ahead.
Embarked on slave ships.
And we was embarked on what?
On slave ships.
We was embarked on slave ships, man. That's also in the Bible also, man. Which lets you know the Bible is true. And the Bible does have our history in there. And we was put on slave ships. Listen, this right here is a book which ain't the Bible. And this is history. And every black person knows we've been on slave ships. So how can a black person dare say the Bible's tampered with, man, when their whole history's in there? Where them going on slave ships, everyone knows their history of slave ships. Go ahead.
The slaves crossed the ocean. The Middle Passage.
We crossed the Middle Passage, man. Go ahead.
On the terrible conditions.
On the terrible conditions, man. We passed the Middle Passage on the terrible conditions. Hold that and give me Deuteronomy 28:68. We passed the Middle Passage on the terrible conditions. What's some of those terrible conditions? Where you're vomiting and you're sick. And to stop, you see when those ready to sell you. When those ready to sell you, what they would do is what? Take, I think it was cotton wool or something, or rope, and they would shove it up your behind. And because you had diarrhea and they didn't want the person that you're selling them to know that you had diarrhea, they would just butt you up like that. And guess what, man? That's how people sell cars, man. The patch up the car, man. The car's got an oil leak, man. They just block up the oil leak for the day. That's what they done with you, man. They treated you like you was an oil leak, man. They treated you like that during slavery. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Listen, man. Egypt is a Greek word for bondage. It says the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. And how did we get to the Caribbean, man? We got there with ships, man. We didn't get there by no first class on some plane. We didn't get there by no Uber. We didn't get there by no Caribbean cruise. We didn't get there. Like now, Esau loves to go on these Caribbean cruises, man. I wouldn't go on no Caribbean cruise because that reminds me of slavery, man. That reminds me of me being on a slave ship all over again, man. Me going across the ocean on them Caribbean cruise. But read that one more time from the top.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, man. Go ahead.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see no more again.
And we wasn't to see our homeland no more again, man. Go ahead.
And there ye shall be sold.
Hold on, then what?
And there ye shall be sold.
Listen, man. The Bible saying, there ye shall be sold. And what? That history book saying we were sold, man. Which is adding up with the Bible, which lets you know the Bible is the truth, man. You don't find this in no other book. Go ahead.
Unto your enemies.
We were sold unto our enemies, man. Go ahead.
For bondmen and bondwomen.
For bondmen and bondwomen. Go back to that book. We were sold for bondmen and bondwomen, meaning slave men and slave women. And this history book right here is telling us we were sold for glass. We were sold for all this other hardware. Go ahead.
The middle passage under the terrible conditions.
On the terrible conditions, meaning what? We was sick, man. We was tied up. We was shackled. People was dead on them ships. Just throwing people overboard. We was their entertainment. Didn't make us be entertainment on the ships, man. They had people singing and dancing and so forth, man. Had entertainers. Go ahead.
It is believed that a third of the slaves died at sea.
It is what?
Believed that a third of the slaves died at sea.
And it is believed that a third of the slaves died at sea, man. Meaning what? A third of the slaves died, man, at sea. And it says 2 million. It says that talks about 2 million, right? That means what? About what? 500,000 died at sea. Yeah, that means about 500,000 of the 2 million died at sea. Go ahead. No, is that on that? Give me 162. So lucky, no. A third of the slaves would be that means only 500,000 would have survived. A third of them would mean that 1.5 million died at sea. Then go ahead. Page, is it 162? So more died than survived died at sea. More died than survived, man.
Out of the same book, History of Jamaica, page 162, the masters then branded their slaves on the spot.
The masters branded their slaves on the spot, man. So what they would do is put a mark on you, man, and say that you're mine. You see how you have a coat and you write your name in there? They wrote their name on you, their initials. They used to brand their initials on you. They branded their initials on you like you was just some coat, man. Like you was just some jacket that you just put your name in and hang on the peg. They branded you like that. Go ahead.
Edwards gives a bucolic description of the operation. It is the custom among some of the planters in Jamaica.
It's the custom of some of the planters in Jamaica to brand you, man. Go ahead.
To mark the initials of their name on the shoulder or breast of each newly purchased Negro.
Imagine a man burning you, man. Burning you, you know. And then once he burns you, you are working in the hot sun with that same burn mark. And listen, he branded you, man. Put his name on you. He don't care how much pain you in. You see, like how you see, they treated us like we was just some piece of garbage, man. You see how people just write on tree bark or whatever. They treated us like we was just tree bark or whatnot, man. Go ahead.
By means of a small silver brand heated in the flame.
Listen, man, that was heated. Imagine this: a man's coming to you with something hot and burns his initials on you, man. Like you ain't supposed to feel no pain. He burns it on you like we ain't supposed to feel no pain, man. Go ahead.
But it is growing into disuse. Edwards then disserts over the price of slaves, varying upon age and the physical condition.
So now they looked at you like what? Like how you look at a car, like how fast does the car go? The speed of it, the mileage. They looked at black men like that. They looked at the age, like, all right, this black man looks strong. The mileage. They scouted you like how they scout football players, how they scout basketball players. They scouted slaves in the same way. Like, what can this guy do? What can this guy bring to the table? How strong is he? How much can he lift? How much cotton is he going to lift on this day? How much work can he get done? How much of this can he do? How much of that can he do? That's how they look to us, man. So it says that they look to us. Now it's going to give you a price of. Now it's going to give you a price of how much how they worked it out of how much we should be worth.
In 1791, I planned to pay £150 for a man in the prime of his life.
Back then, that was like what? That was a decent amount of money back then, right? That's a lot of money back then. It's not.
That's like about 4 or 5 grand.
Yeah, it's probably that expensive now, right? Because back then, 150 back then ain't what £150 is now, which lets you know over time the currency changes. So when people say things like, "Oh, Bill Gates would have been richer than Solomon," listen, the currency that you're going by today is not even the same as the currency that was back then. The currency back then was a lot different to what it is now. So back then, when you see that, people made what £20 a week, that was a lot back then. To £20 a week back then is probably equivalent to what we get in a month. Not now, probably not that high, but probably equivalent to like £300, £400, easily something like that. So currency over time changes. Currency goes up and down. The pound, and that's why the pound and the dollar, the value always drops. So to properly work it out, you'll never be able to work it out. You're looking at someone's net worth 200 years ago and looking at someone's net worth today. Both of them might say their net worth is 500 million, but if you're going by 500 million, what 500 million back in the days, could be almost a bit. That's probably over £1 billion. So you will never know unless you know what the currency was back then and what the currency is today. But go ahead.
£149 for a woman.
£149 for a woman, man. They would take these women. These women would what? Have to cook, have to clean, have to take care of their kids. Have to do all of that, man. Why our slave master's wife was just chilling, doing nothing, popping out babies. Our women would have to look after them, man. Our women would have to nurture them, take care of them, make sure food was cooked. She would have to bring her master. She would have to bring her master his food on a tray and so forth, and then she would have to eat scraps. She couldn't even eat the food that she cooked half the time, man. They treated us like we was robots. Like now you have like even now picking cotton. Have you seen that machine that picks the cotton now where they just drive it over the finger? I can't remember what it's called. Just imagine back then, a man was doing that job. A man was picking that cotton. A man was working sun up to sundown to pick that cotton, which means basically, back in the days, a black man was that machine. That machine that you see picking all that cotton today, a black man was that machine back in the days. They paid £145 for that black man to pick all that cotton. The same way they would pay for that machine is what they paid for that man. And they paid for that man to do all the work and make them rich. And they profited off everything, man. They brought that man for 145, and the amount of cotton he picked made them quadruple that, man. They made their money back so much that what would then buy a second slave, a third slave, a fourth slave, and would have so many slaves on their plantation just working for them and getting the money on top of money on top of money. Go ahead.
And 147 for a teenager.
And 147 for a teenager. So a teenager ranging from probably what, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, that age would pay 147. And they would put them to work, man. They would put them to work. And all that work that they put us through made us forget about what? Made us forget about our God. Made us forget about our land. Made us forget about our temple. Made us forget our background and where we was coming from. This right here is the only history that they will show you. They won't show you the origins. They only show you the bad parts like this. Go ahead.
The kids were sold for 40 or 45.
And the kids were sold for £40 or 45, man. They were sold too, which means what? If a man just wanted the adult male, he would buy the adult male, and the rest of the family would be there crying their eyes out because they know they're not going to see that male again, man. Then the teenagers would be sold to someone else, and the kids would be sold to someone else. So the whole family is broken up, man. The whole family is broken up. Like we're all relatives, man, but we don't know it. We don't know it, man. But we're all relatives. Like now we just have what? Our slave master surname. So everybody who's got that surname, that's who we believe is our cousin and whatnot. Listen, man, we're all family, man. How do you listen? You've got long lost family that you don't even know is all these brothers that are stabbing each other, they're family, man. Their ancestors probably was on the same docks. One probably was sold to this family, one was sold to that family, man. And after all of this brainwashing, we don't even know that. Go ahead.
Page 163. The same gardener then lists the tortures offered by the slaves.
Listen, man, those tortures, slaves got so much torture. It tells you here that they couldn't even write it. Go ahead.
Ears and legs cut off.
See, ears and legs cut off, man. During this, we had our ears and our legs cut off. Like, how can you treat someone like that, man? To cut off a man's ears and to cut off their legs. They cut off our ears and cut off our legs. Go ahead.
The nose split or
see
otherwise mutilated.
The nose split or otherwise mutilated, man. Just imagine what we're reading. Our people actually lived this, man. Our people actually went through this. So while we out here loving our oppressors, just understand this, man. Your ancestors' body's somewhere with a mutilated nose, man. Go ahead.
And what makes it worse is no oppressor would ever apologize.
Exactly.
You know what? I'm sorry for my ancestors.
Exactly.
You mean while they're rich in this land, they're like, well, that's in the past.
In the past, right?
Me, you know,
right.
What me to do. And
exactly.
Not knowing what his ancestors done to yours and showing you no
exactly.
No sympathy.
Exactly. I just thought slavery just take someone to work. Nah, man. They had to mutilate you in the process, man. They had to cut your legs off, cut your ears off, split your nose in two. That's what they done to our people. Go ahead.
Flogging, branding on the cheeks.
Branding on the cheeks, man. Branding your cheeks, man. Go ahead.
One slave, he says, was put to death by a mode of torture way too horrible to relate to or to read. See, without a shudder.
A man was put to death way too horrible to write or to read or to hear without a shudder, meaning it was that disgusting, man. And they didn't tell us how to put him to death because it was that disgusting. It was that horrible, man. These are the conditions which we went through, man. Go ahead.
Record of which he adds was almost erased on purpose later on.
And listen, man, they tried to erase it on purpose. So you see half the things that you went through in slavery, half the tortures you've gone through, they've erased half of them. Half the torment that you went through, half of it, you will never find out what you went through, man. Half of it that you went through, they've erased it and you will never know. Go ahead.
He also told a story of the poor Priscilla who tried to run away in 1783. And
listen, this is a sister, Priscilla. That's a real Jamaican name, in Priscilla. It's a real Benjamite name, Priscilla. She tried to run away when in 1983.
In
1783, I was going to say 1983. I was like, that's the other day. That's like 20 some odd years ago. Go ahead.
She had both of her ears cut off.
See, she tried to run away, man, because she was being tormented and tortured. She tried to run away, and she had both of. Imagine having your ears cut off, man. You think Holyfield's ear was anything but? Listen, imagine having your ears cut off, man. She had both her ears cut off. Go ahead.
And received 39 ashes once a month for the whole year.
See, and for 12 months, she received 39 lashes every month, 39 lashes every month for a whole year, and had her ears cut off. You would have thought her having her ears cut off would have been enough, but they gave her 39. Imagine, I mean, why wouldn't you run away? Imagine you get 39 lashes 1 month, and then 11 more months you got to look forward to another 39 lashes. And you tell me we should love our oppressors, man? Nah, man, we shouldn't, because they do all of this to us, man. They will kill us, torture us, and so forth. Is there any more? Or is that about it?
That's it.
Is there any on the next page?
Yeah, 164.
Go ahead.
5. During the age of enlightenment, the debate raged on, in the name of which principles did the Europeans hold Africans captive?
Obviously, we know when it says Africans, we know it's not talking about Africans, it's talking about Israelites, but they lie to us and tell us we're Africans. So that's why it says African. Go ahead.
The duty of any Christian should be, on the contrary, to ensure his brothers' liberty, all his brothers, in order to treat Africans as beasts.
In order to treat what?
In order to treat Africans as beasts.
Listen, man, they still treat us like beasts. Go ahead.
Some claim they were no men.
They claim what?
They were no
Listen,
men.
man, in order for them to keep their Christian belief, they claim that black men wasn't even men. They claim that weren't even men. Go ahead.
They compared their hair to the wool of a sheep.
They what?
They compared their hair to the wool of a sheep.
And listen, man, that right there, it says they compared our hair to the wool of a sheep. So lucky you got a highlighter to highlight that one part. Actually, I remember it is they compared our hair to the wool of a sheep. And what did the Bible say about Christ's hair, man? Christ had hair like wool, man, which lets you know these black men right here had the same kind of hair as Christ. Right here, this is history. Them saying they compared our hair to wool.
That's right.
And Christ had hair like wool, man, which is letting you know that Christ was a black man and we are black men also, man. Go ahead. And we the same as Christ. Go ahead.
Laughed at their savage manners.
Laughed at our savage manners. Go ahead.
And their lack of common sense.
See, and they said that we didn't have common sense. Listen, that's a lie, man. You've took us out from a place where we was, and you want us to what? Be how you are, man. We're not like them, man. Go ahead.
And why would you laugh? Like, even today, someone that lives in England, if they don't speak the language and they don't know how things operate, you will feel dumb, but are they really dumb? Just don't know.
Exactly,
like,
they just don't know.
So, you know what I mean? So, likewise with us, imagine you're talking from one continent to another, you don't know nothing. Does that make you dumb?
Exactly. We just don't know. We ain't speaking the same language. Back where we was, we had our everyday setup. It's like when you go to a new job, you don't know how everything works. You don't know the code for the door. You don't know which way the door opens. It probably says push, you probably pull it. Everyone's probably saying you got no common sense, but you genuinely don't know because it's your first day. Go ahead.
Lack common sense. Did not they sell slaves for glass jewelry? Such creatures should rejoice to pass under the yoke of Christians.
See, let's read that again.
Right. Such creatures should rejoice to pass under the yoke of Christians.
Listen, man. This is probably why we love Christianity so much, man. Because to everyone, we're just animals and we're just creatures and we're just nothing, man. And them giving us something, it means something big to us because we're used to having nothing. Is there anyone that about it?
Anyway, in France, Montesquieu answered the last argument. It is impossible for us to assume that these people are men, because if we assume they were men, one would begin to believe that we ourselves are not Christians.
Exactly, man. That's heavy, man. They had to believe that you wasn't a man in order for them to continue their Christianity faith, man. They had to believe that you wasn't a man. They had to believe that you was an animal, man. Because if they looked at you as a man, as a human, obviously, if they looked at you as a human, they wouldn't have treated you how they treated you. But right. To them, you're not a human. You're just anything, and God don't care about you, and you're less than a human. That's how they look at it. They look at it like God don't care about your life, and you're not a human. You're an animal, and they can treat you anyhow. And they look at it like what? They only have to treat everybody else good except you. They look at it like they only can treat their own nation good and not you because you're an animal. They look at it like if they look at you as a human, they would have to treat you good and they couldn't enslave you. And this is why you're still a slave right now, because they don't look at you as a human, man. They look at you as an animal. And with that, that brings us to the end of the class. We're going to do the announcements and the prayers, and then we're out of here. Let me try and get this.
Because I won't think of that. And
go ahead.
Even till this day, like, okay, with the oppressor today, he didn't know about that law. But how they still act with you still shows
Exactly.
it's in them that, you know what I mean, they look at you like you're subhuman, like, well, you don't matter. You know, they'll lock you up forever. Meanwhile, one of their own, they'll make sure that, you know what I mean, that like if he gets a fair justice, fair time. So
Exactly.
to show that
Nothing's changed.
they clearly look at one race of people as they matter and another as you don't matter. We can lock you up for 20 years, even though we didn't fully investigate Mark Duggan well, you know.
Yeah,
The policeman's stressed out doing his job. He's a policeman on the beat. He shot him, but look at his hard job. You know, look what he has to do, and you don't matter. Meanwhile, if they shoot another oppressor, we gotta investigate that. Why did the officer do it? Why did it?
Exactly.
And that's the problem.
That's the problem, man. Heavy point, man. There's the.
Well, yeah, that's the class to give Officer Dunbar a hand. That's foremost. Right, we are the I.S.U.P.K. Started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General YAHANNA. Goal for a new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will call each other. After the 6 months, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Times, which is a commandment. Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10 means 10th in the Hebrew Ma'ashra. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department. Priest fund not mandatory. Free will offering for priests, whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations is a feast of trumpets.
Tabernacles.
So the feast of tabernacles.
12th of October, this Saturday. And then also, there's a holy convocation at the start of it, which is the 12th of October, Saturday. And then the following Sunday, which is 8 days after, the 20th of October, Sunday, there's also another feast day. So there's one at the start and one at the end. And the cake and Tazanawa hosting a cake and wine event, which is the 20th of October. So come down for the whole day. We're going to have the cake and wine event of the morning and then straight into the feast day. So come on down to that. All Israel is welcome.
All right. Remind Akim and Aqua to check the bulletin boards in the hallway and check all I.S.U.P.K social media as well. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitters, YouTube also as well. And if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headbands, and scarves. And with that, I Mariam, we're going to rise and face the east and send up the Lord prayer. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakwafka, Taba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'aratza, Kawo, Hayah, Bashemayim, Nathunlanawa, Nakam, Cow, Yawam, Wasalaknawa, Kabawaknawa, Kasalaknawa, Kabawafyanawa, Wala'ah, Tabaya'ayanawa, Wanasayawan, Abod, Hawashainawa, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahathapara, La'aiwalamya, Aman.
In the English, our Father,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy
will be done.
In earth,
as
it is in heaven.
Give
us this day.
Our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever.
So be. let's pray the Haka, the power, Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bahashem,
Hashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Shai,
Baba Kushar,
Shah,
the Thunder Nawa,
Allah,
Haka,
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 Lara Pa'a,
Pa'a,
Kal Makala,
Makala,
Wakal Madawa,
Madawa,
Haka,
Haka,
Lataha,
Ataha,
Hamad Hazaraya,
Tazaraya,
Haka,
Haka,
Lahakwiya,
Hakim,
Hamathia,
Mafia,
Haka,
Haka,
Arakawa,
Araka, Roth,
Hatama Allah,
Atama Allah,
Nagarishan,
Nagarasham,
Bahashem,
Bashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh,
the water, Aman,
in the English, Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahweh,
in the name of Yahweh
please
Shai,
give us the power,
please give us the power
to heal all manner of sickness,
the power to heal all manner of
all
sickness
manner of disease,
and all manner of
the
disease,
power to cleanse the lepers,
the power to cleanse the
the
lepers,
power to raise the dead,
the power to raise the dead,
the power against unclean
the
spirits,
power against unclean
to
spirits,
cast them out,
to cast them
in
out.
the name of Yahweh,
In the name of Yahweh Shai,
thank you.
thank you.
So be it.
So be it. Let prayer is the blessings. Barakatha Yahweh,
Rakatha Yahweh,
Wa Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh Shai,
Wa Ma Yaka Allah,
Wama Yaka Ale,
Wa Alahaya,
Alahayim,
Mataz Zabi'a,
Tazabi
Ala Wapi Hana,
Alawapi Hana,
Ha Ala Wapi,
Alawapi,
Ha Saranya,
Asaranya,
Ha Patzayonia,
Pakpatazayan,
Ha Kalia Alio,
Uncle the Yalim,
Wa Akwafio,
Wakwafim,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bashem,
Bashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh Shai,
the water,
Water,
Aman.
in the English, bless you, Yahweh,
Bless you, Yahweh,
and Yahweh Shai,
and Yahweh Shai,
and Michael,
and Michael,
and the angels,
and the angels,
commanding General Yohanna,
commanding General Yahanna,
the generals,
the generals,
the captains,
the
the
captains,
officers,
the officers,
troopers,
the troopers,
and the sisters,
and the sisters,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahweh Shai,
in the name of Yahweh Shai,
thank you.
thank you,
So
so be it.
blessed be you, Yahweh,
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
King of heaven and earth,
King of heaven and earth,
all things living,
and all things living,
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahweh
in
Shai,
the name of Yahweh Shai.
listen to us now,
Listen to us now,
right now,
right now,
send evils
send evil
and curses
and curses
and punishment
and punishment
and destruction
and
to
destruction
the heathen
to the
that
heathen
speak against
that
us,
speak against
thy
us,
prophets,
thy prophets,
teachers,
the teachers,
the princes,
the princes,
the priests,
the priests,
the Israelite
the
brothers,
Israelite brothers,
and the school,
and the schools,
send evils
and evils,
and curses
and
and
curses,
punishment
and
and
punishment,
destruction
and
to
destruction
the heathen
to the heathen,
and shake loose
and shake
the
loose
treasure
the
of the
treasure
rich of Israel
of the rich of
that
Israel
refused
that
to give
refuse
to the school,
to give to the school,
force their riches
force their riches
to enter into thy sanctuary,
to enter into thy sanctuary,
send evils
send
and
evil
curses
and curses
and punishment
and
and
punishment
destruction
and
to
destruction
the Edomites
to the
and
Edomites
the nations
and the nation
and their drug
and
dealers,
their drug dealers,
court system,
the court system,
prison
the
system,
prison system,
Planned Parenthood,
Planned Parenthood,
all the governments of our enemies,
all the governments of our enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church,
Pope,
the Pope,
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity,
Christianity,
Egyptology,
Egyptology,
militia,
militia,
Ku Klux Klan,
Ku Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation,
Aryan Nation,
Skinheads,
Skinheads,
Passacomatazzi,
Passacomatazzi,
gay movement,
the gay movement,
the lesbian
the
movement,
lesbian movement,
spies, workers of witchcraft,
workers of witchcraft,
NASA space programs,
NASA space programs,
Army,
Army,
Navy, Air Force,
Marines,
Wall Street, open up the internet,
and
the airways,
the airways,
cable access
the
channels,
cable access channels,
and the radio channels,
and the radio
convict
channels,
the spirit
convict the
of
spirit
any of thy people
of any of thy evil
that seek to stop
that
us,
seek to stop
and
us,
bring swift
and
destruction
bring swift
to
destruction
all the heathen
to all the
that
heathen
stand in the way,
that stand in the way,
or try to stop
or
us
try to stop
from
us
broadcasting your words
from broadcasting your words
throughout the planet Earth.
throughout the planet Earth.
Let loose
Let loose
all the plagues,
all the plagues
cause them to go
and cause them to go
to and fro.
and consume them.
Yeah, it's just right.
No, sir.
Let loose all the plagues,
Let loose all the plagues,
cause them to go
cause them to go
to and fro
to and fro
through the earth
through the earth
and consume them.
and consume them.
Let the plagues
Let the plagues
shake the house
shake the house
of the thief
of the thief
and the murderer.
and the murderer.
Let Yahweh,
Let Yahweh Shai, Michael,
Gabriel
and Gabriel
come down
come down
with the flying
with
saucers
the flying horses
and punish all the heathens
and punish all the heathens
that come up against us
that come up against
to
us
speak thy word,
as we speak thy word.
cause it to be known
Cause it to be known
by all
by all
that is the angels
that is the angels
that have done it,
that have done it.
cause it to be spread
Cause it to be spread
through the media
through the media
throughout the whole world,
throughout the whole world.
cause them to shake
Cause them to shake
at thy coming
as I come in
in the name of Yahweh.
in the name of Yahweh Shai.
Thank you,
Thank you.
always.
Always so be. Let's pray is to bless Israel, Yahweh.
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai.
Hashem Yahweh,
Barakana wa
Barakana,
Yasha'ala.
Yasha'ala,
Wa Habaya.
Bahaba,
Sapaya.
Sapara,
Barak Rapah.
Barakaba,
Magun Hagun.
Barakaba,
The Gordon family.
Gordon family,
The Bennett family.
Bennett family,
The Gardner family.
Gordon family,
The Zerma family.
Zerma families, all Israel,
All of Israel. Ba'ashem
Hashem,
Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh,
Tawada. Aman. And what we just said was, Lord, in the name of Jesus, bless us and Israel and the school. bless, heal, shield, protect those loved ones in the name of Yahweh. Thank you. So be. So with that, we're going to give the teacher one courtesy salute. Men of Israel, I'm Madiam Shabbat. I'm Madiam Barak. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai Barak Atah.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Kafam.
Yad Yom Matah. Class dismissed.
President's me, you know.